Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Personal Flash Paper. I am your host, Randy Glenn. With me today, in chair number 2, On Time Ryan.
I was early.
And
Hey, everybody.
in the 17th chair tonight, that guy, that super late guy, Rob Baker.
That's right, everybody. I was 15 minutes early, and I'm still late. It's like I'm back in the military again. Hey, everybody,
Actually,
it's that Baker.
Although I will point out that Randy should technically be the third chair because not only did he log in a day early and then want to know where we were.
2 days early. 2 days
No,
early.
well-
I logged in.
But see, originally it was a day early, and then the day we were going to record, he logged in. He's like, "Hey, where are you guys?" And we're like, "Randy, we got 45 minutes." Rob literally says 7:45. It is 7 o'clock.
I don't actually read what you guys write. I mean, like, I look at it, I skim it. If I'm at work, I skim it. I'm like, all right, tonight, what time? Okay, perfect, let's do this. And then I literally saw Rob's message of, hey, we're going to do this time. And I was like, perfect. This is epic. And nope. So on this episode of Personal Flash Paper, we're going to talk about what the weapon systems are for, how they're utilized early game, mid game, late game, trying to improve your play with those weapons. And before we get started today, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Tabletop Games and Hobby, and their new edition right next door, the Cardboard Cafe. Definitely check out Tabletop Games and Hobby in our show notes below. And if you are in the Kansas City area or passing through, check out the Cardboard Cafe. They have some amazing drinks from what I can see. I have not been there yet, but I know Rob has. I'm sure Ryan has. It looks fantastic. Check them out on Instagram, the Cardboard Cafe. You guys have anything else to add?
We are gaming next week.
That's right.
Yeah,
so
in-person gaming. So we might have more things to talk about, or we all might just rage quit because we forgot everything.
I think
there
there's
is
going to be more of that. I think that's
Yeah.
definitely a possibility. The rage quick, it will be real.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that we play a game that is not Infinity, although we think we're playing Infinity.
Yeah, it might just be like us moving men around and going, what is this? And we just make noises like, pew, 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 I got you, I see you. But on an all serious note, before we get started in the craziness, we do want to give a shout out to the guys on the White Noise podcast. Well done, gentlemen, on the many years of podcasting and excellent content with interviews. We tip our caps to you guys. I hope whatever your next endeavor is, it's a good one.
Also, when Randy says guys, he means men and women, because Jenna, don't only Jenna out, she will come kick your ass.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all,
track you down.
when I say guys, I mean like everybody. Like that's my unfortunate whatever. Like I had a couple of the women I work with get on me because I say bro. Like I'm like bro, and they're like, I'm not your bro, I'm a woman. I'm like, dude, and like I'm not a fucking dude, and it goes from there. So
Yep.
I am a horrible person. I concede all these facts. I'm not even going to try to hide it. It is what it is.
No,
I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's literally why I put it out, because I actually was leading a training one time, and I was saying guys, and then I was like, oh, let me back up. When I say that,
Yeah.
and I was leading a training to people not in the U.S., so I really had to make sure that I was like, whoop, need to make sure they understand what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Communication is key.
Yeah, I wish I was a smarter guy, but let's face it, it's me. I'm not. So everybody knows this. But I do apologize. I should have said, well done, people. That would have been probably better, right?
Well done, folks.
I mean, I think they are all people on there.
Yep.
They are. No, that's true.
Canvas is the whole gambit, right? The whole sphere.
Literally the whole sphere. So if you guys want to add anything else, this is your time.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to them pretty much since the beginning. I do think I'm a few episodes behind because I'm not actually driving around for work anymore, so I don't have as much listening time. But yeah, it came as a shock to me, which that's too bad.
Yeah, me too. When I saw the episode 169 was going to be the last one, I shot it out to our pre-cast PFP chat thing, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Wow, this is crazy talk. So, yeah, much props to you guys and gals for doing all the great work that you guys have done over the years.
Yeah, and unfortunately, moving on from that, Rob, well done, sir, on the Facebook Live auction. I gave you a lot of shit while you were doing it because I was like, "Holy crap, are you going live again? Holy moly!" But the letter that was sent from Harvesters, you can check it out on our Facebook page. We did get that money out to them. They did receive it, and hopefully, people it's put to good use within our community here in Kansas City, which we really enjoy doing. It's a big thing for us. Next on the list. So, gentlemen, what weapon system would you like to? I know in the pre-show conversation that we have, I tuned you out partly through when you were talking about EVE Online, Ryan. I'm not gonna lie, I totally didn't care. But you said something about sniper rifles. I did hear that. I want you to know that I value your input to this podcast. So I heard sniper rifles. You want to start there?
So I really think that, sure, kind of, but like I think, I think so. The idea behind this was we. Shut up. So the idea was really talking about like after we've gone through the weapons chart, like how their usage is in an evolving game. So like turn one. Opening the game, sniper rifles have a really good use because they reach out and touch somebody. They're really good. They're really good to put some damage on your opponent far away, especially if they're, at a mid or short ranged weapon system, right? Coming back at you. But the thought is, well, what happens on turn 2 or turn 3? And now the people are up close. What happens to that sniper rifle? How does that model benefit your team? So really, to me, when I'm looking at stuff, I look at the range bands, and my personal thing is that you don't stack a range band. So don't put everything that's I need you to be 32 inches away from me, or don't put everything I need you to be 8 inches near me. So for sniper rifles, you're looking at basically juicy targets that you can either one shot or stuff that has like even a high armor that you can chink through because most sniper rifles are damage 15, right? And you want to get those targets before they can get to you. Sniper rifles are great ARO pieces because they're low burst anyways. But positioning is how you capitalize on a sniper rifle. Like, so Ryan, where do you place it?
Yeah, so on a sniper rifle, do you place it up high, in the traditional sniper nest, or do you place it down low with the rest of your models on the actual ground level of the table?
Well, see, that is not a question you can blanketly answer, right? Because it's going to be very table dependent. If you've got a good sniper's nest, right, that can cover a good chunk of the table, then that's not a bad idea, right? However, remember that if you're up there in the air and you can see the whole table can see you.
Correct. Right. And that's one of the things that, talking about table dependent, we've talked about the armory on the show, right? Which has infinitely high walls. And you can have a superior sniper nest that is, like Ryan said, up in the air. However, that infinitely high walls is going to block a large chunk of the table and cause, what would be considered the slicing of the pie to also change. So, Ryan's 100% correct, and it pains me to say that, which is why he's second chair. But he's correct. And your table layout is also going to depend on where you choose or, where you place that model that has the sniper rifle.
Yeah, I mean, I am one, when I set up tables, is I may put a juicy sniper nest out there, and it's fake. Right, it looks really good, but then when you get down and you look at it, you're like, oh, it's got one alley that it can watch. It is a very limited band, and it somebody's going to put a model there. They're going to essentially waste that model because it can't see very much, and it's very easy to get around. So get down to eye level and look and see what you can see, because your perspective is going to change.
I agree with you. I think though that snipers, when people think the traditional sense of a sniper, and I'm probably going to go off on a tangent, so incoming, get prepared to fast forward at least a minute and a half, I guess. When people think of sniper in a traditional Hollywood sense, they're always up in some weird nest. I always think of Saving Private Ryan and the bell tower, and then he gets blown up by the tank. Snipers, generally speaking, believe it or not, always had to have um, an exit strategy. You always wanted an easy way as a sniper to move around. Snipers weren't supposed to sit there forever. You're supposed to take a shot and leave. So I think that Infinity, while real world tactics don't mostly work in a tabletop, you definitely want that out.
Yeah, the egress. That's always one of the things that I don't think we think of in terms of the transition from real world military tactics to tabletop. But Randy, you're 100% correct. You've got to know what your exit strategy is on the actual real modern battlefield. Whereas with, Infinity, there's a lot of things that do not translate well. Stacking up, for instance, like fire teams, and this would be a good segue into the boarding shotgun, or chain rifle, or anything that has a template weapon. In real tactics, a SWAT team going into a building, they like to stack up, but that's not one of the things that you want to do, because, a yon with a chain rifle or a boarding shotgun dude coming around that corner can take out all of your dudes all at once.
Well, I also think it depends on what, like Ryan said, the purpose of today is this. The sniper rifle is actually great at the beginning of the game, right? You want to position it in such a way that you're reaching out and touching something on turn one. But what happens in turn two when the board gets cut literally in half? How do you utilize that sniper to its best efficiency? And I think that if you're going to use it, I think a sniper is great at the beginning, and then I don't think you're going to want to waste a bunch of orders on it after the fact. I mean, aren't you kind of going, okay, cool. I know that I like using snipers as a cheerleader hunter, and I also like to almost put my sniper in a position where they're in lanes, not necessarily the entire board, because AROs are a huge thing in this game, and you don't want to open yourself up to 15 AROs coming back at you. But you definitely want to catch movement and people going down alleys. How do you guys feel about that, especially with a sniper rifle, or do you feel that that's better utilized for different weapon systems?
So first turns, like the first half of the first turn, second half of the first turn, I utilize snipers differently, right? If I am going first, a lot of times I will look to see how can I position them to dump a bunch of orders to kill a bunch of people, right? So I can pick off your dudes on my alpha strike, shooting them up. Or what's the one model that's going to cause me a whole lot of problems, and how do I angle my sniper to take him out before he gets in my way, right? Then if I'm going second, though, a lot of times it's like, how can I put him as an ARO piece with the idea of more than likely I'm going to lose him, right? More than likely he's gonna die, because my opponent's gonna be like, I've got to get rid of that piece to move the rest of my people. So I want to do that to make you spend all your orders, right? Once I look at those two things and we go into turn two, I now have to look like, can I position this guy to have a different lane? Because remember, it's not just across the table. There's diagonals and there's side to side, and that's kind of a big deal, right? Because people will forget that, and they'll face their models at their opponent directly and then just march them up the table, not realizing that, there's a whole bunch of other angles, right?
Yeah.
So second turn, I'll look to see, can I reposition without spending my entire second order to reposition? Like literally, if it's a 1 or 2 order thing, that's something I will think about. But if it's going to take my entire turn, then it's not worth my effort.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is there's also troop types out there that have infiltration, so that you can move your potential sniper and that weapons platform up the board already to get an even crazier diagonal angle. Or, is it something that you want to have in a camouflage state, if possible, like a Hunzakut, or one of the nomad snipers that can infiltrate and be a camo marker to come around the corner and give you a different angle on that weapons platform.
Well, and that actually, Rob, was something I was going to bring up later, is snipers who have a hidden deployment state, right? Sometimes you let them sit until turn 2 or turn 3, and then you pop that as an ARO to really throw a monkey wrench, right? But the sniper rifle itself, a lot of times it's the early game, long distance thing,
Totally.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that, Randy hit on a really good point. The Hollywood version of the sniper, Saving Private Ryan is that quintessential movie that I think everybody has seen, everybody loves, because it does have that sniper in that squad. And I think that we fall in love with that idea of, oh, I've got a sniper. Here's a sniper's nest. I need to put the sniper in the sniper's nest so that it's happy. And it doesn't always work out that way, because there are so many things that you can do after first turn where you have that sniper on the, side of the table, the table's edge, that is running up and now has a very different angle than what the deployment was. So it feeds into that second and third turn.
Yeah, and a lot of this, we're speaking of the sniper rifle, but a lot of this can be utilized for missile launchers, heavy machine guns, like anything that's really reach out and touch you, can really apply some of these same ideas, right? Heavy machine guns are a little different because the rate of fire is much greater, so it actually has a little bit more use longer in the game, I think. But the idea of the positioning and how to utilize it can be translated from what we're doing for sniper rifles. I think sniper rifles are just a little more niche because their rate of fire is so low.
Yeah, burst 2 is a thing.
Well, I think the problem is, this might become the sniper episode or just the weapons in general. The problem is that if you tactically play the sniper right, and I think sniper might be one of the more difficult models to play because I think it is very nuanced. I know when you're a beginner in the game, you do fall for that. Where's the 2-3-story building? Here goes my sniper. I put it up against the wall. I get my cover save. Here we go. Like, good luck getting me out. And then they realize that they take a shot, and all of a sudden they have AROs coming from 4 different models, and their sniper's dead. And they're like, what the hell just happened? I didn't even kill you. And you're like, welcome to Infinity, where dodge is a thing, and AROs from the whole board come at you. You really need to learn how to protect your weapons for what they're designed to do and how you want that weapon deployed. And I think Ryan is onto something with the how do you, it kind of goes into order management. And I think when you start playing the game, you have a game plan. This many orders I need with these 3 or 4 orders, I need to be able to do this and get this done so that I have these orders for this. And when you play somebody and you decide to take second turn, I think the goal you should have is make somebody burn as many orders as they can. We've all been there where we're like, my sniper should easily kill that, rinky dink stupid, and they go dodge and they crit. And then they're like, I'll do it one more time. Dodge, crit. What the hell is going on? And you've wasted 4 orders to do something and your whole turn is shot. I think we've all been there. So I guess it just depends on what your plan for a sniper, a HMG, or a boarding shotgun, how you want that utilized.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, kind of depending on the mission, but a lot of times when you get kind of towards the late aspects of the game, especially if you're behind, you're scrambling to figure out what you can do. So again, that might be the case of where being on the ground level with your sniper is a lot more useful than being stuck high up where you can't get down, right? Or it's going to take you, 3 orders for me just to get off of this building, and I've only got 4 orders, so I'm not going to have a movement left. So in some cases, you have this model who, let's face it, most sniper rifles are 30-point range or 20 to 40-point range, depending on what they have. That's a lot of points to put in a model that you use for a turn and then sits there. So you really kind of have to think about that. Yeah.
And there's been numerous times where I have had Atlantia, when I'm playing Aleph, either Steel Phalanx or Vanilla, and she's been up on a building, and she's been great for 2 turns, but then that last turn, I literally need her to go do something, either secure the HVT or something, and I'm like, shit, I don't have enough orders for this.
Yeah, I mean, in the old days where you could jump off of buildings and take damage, I mean, there's been times where I'm like, well, I'm going to spin an order and I'm just going to jump off, and then if it survives, then I'm going to be able to do it. But if it doesn't survive, right, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to win anyways, right? I think, though, if you're new and starting out, we've seen it a bunch of times. You've got to just play with the models, and you've got to make mistakes, and you've got to lose them to really understand how things are going to work and how things should work. You never really want to get attached to a model, right? Because that's always going to end poorly.
Are you listening to Cinderella? You don't know what you got till it's gone? Is that what I just heard?
Oh, no, I didn't, but that's classic. So, and at first I thought you were like the movie. Why am I? No, I'm not watching Cinderella, but you're talking the band. Gotcha.
Wow.
So, yeah. Fun fact: Rob and I both saw Cinderella. We didn't even know each other at the time.
Nope, we were there. In spirit.
Yep, it was funny. No, we were there physically. We just didn't know each other.
True. Yeah, we didn't know each other.
No. But I think, we're using snipers rifles here as our topic, but I think this goes into every aspect of a model you choose, knowing what it is you're going to do with them, and then what it is you're going to do without them. Like, what happens if I'm going first and I shoot with my sniper and I flub the roll and my sniper's dead, and my sniper was the only model that could reach out and take out that ARO piece that you have that is covering all 14 of my other dudes.
So Ryan, right? I think you're hitting on the segue with this in terms of, I brought up boarding shotgun. Boarding shotgun is something that is really useful up close and personal, but the sniper rifle is where we're starting because it's first turn and it can reach out and touch someone. Let's talk about how you look at the midfield game in terms of like a heavy machine gun or a Spitfire or something like that. When you talk about your sniper going down, what do I do next?
Well, isn't that 2 different things?
I think it is 2 different things, and I think that's. Yeah. I think the problem with that question, the way you posed it, is you're assuming a lot of things, and play style comes completely into it, and what army you're running and how your list looks. I think generically, if you were to say to Ryan, hey man, so with your play style, and Ryan, like, would you say you're an aggressive player, or would you say you're more of a counterpuncher, Ryan?
No, I'm aggressive.
Well, and that's why I had a hard time phrasing the question as we're doing this kind of off the cuff. That, Randy, you hit the nail right on the head. Ryan is an aggressive player. Yep. He is not the, castle up defensive type mindset. Nothing against that, and it's great. But I look at things from a very defensive stance. And, when I try to put myself into Ryan's shoes and build a list, I have a hard time doing that because I don't think like Ryan does. I'm very much the counterpunch sort of second turn player, where Ryan is very much the alpha strike. So I think what my point was more of how does Ryan go about building his list for, okay, here's the sniper rifle. Here's the weapons platform that can reach out and touch someone. What is his mindset going to be for building the next troop choice weapons platform for his midfield long-term game? Do you have the HMG that can reach out to 48 inches which is, the entire board. Granted, instead of -3, if the person's in covered, another -3. Or do you have another plan of, yes, I am planning on this sniper lasting one turn only, as the rest of my plan comes to fruition?
So when I did military orders, I used to take an order sergeant with a sniper rifle, and he had TO camo, which is mimetism -6, and hidden deployment, right? And a lot of times I would deploy him in the marker state, right? A lot of times if I was going first too, because I got that order, right? I could use that order spin, and it was still a camo marker that somebody had to discover before it could do anything. They also could infiltrate, right? Now, normally you want a sniper rifle to be at the back because you want them to utilize that range bonus. But if the position is there midfield for a sniper rifle, I'll put the sniper rifle in the midfield, right? But what I think that does really is, now that you're starting to get up on a sniper rifle, is, and you also have to think about it, is when I do it, I don't care if all of my dudes die. Like, I will Rambo stuff up to where even in my own thought, I'm like, yeah, I pushed that guy way too far. That he's dead next turn, to my detriment a lot of times, right? It's, you just kind of get excited about rolling the dice and moving the dudes up. But typically, I don't gravitate towards the sniper rifle as much as I did when I started, right? But a lot of that has to do with armies I'm playing or the overall tactics I'm using, and a lot of those are, I'm moving up. Midfield is where I spend most of my points, on that 16 to 24, those Spitfires, those Red Furies, those are the weapons platforms I typically look for. So by that time, my sniper rifle, by the time I get to typically turn 2 or turn 3, my sniper rifle is almost becomes always an ARO piece. He becomes a model that is generating an order as a cheerleader for me, and he's just in a position to where he can hurt my opponent if they come around this corner. Almost exclusively, really, outside of a few options where if I still just have to try to reach one dude, or if it's a scenario where you've got to come in and grab a box and run back your side, because then I can say, well, can I spend the least amount of orders on the sniper rifle to get an angle, right? Because he has such a long distance. But I think, sniper rifle to me, the way I use it is very much a first turn weapon, in the lists that I typically play and the way I typically play.
I mean, that makes sense. I do think that, there are a lot of weapon systems and a lot of armies use different tactics. Obviously, I like snipers in Infinity. I think they're one of my more favorite things. And sometimes when I'm building lists, I find myself with 2 snipers in my list, and I'm like, that's stupid, that's stupid, that's stupid. Take one of them, at least take one of them out, if not both. But I think that you have to balance the sniper, especially for you, because you play so aggressive. I don't think that the sniper helps you, because you want to get up and get at somebody, and the sniper is a more defensive piece where you are kind of castling up and then counter punching after the sniper weakens a section that you're trying to go into.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly why the sniper to me is a first turn, right? Because on my first turn, if I'm going first, I'm using the sniper to pick out all of your models that have line of sight to my other dudes, right? Once I can clear those, now my other dudes can go up, right? Or if I'm going second, I can put him. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna just leave him an ARO against that other one dude that I need to take care of to clear my lanes, or the model that's going to cost me a problem, or force you to maybe go towards the other side of the table where my dudes are waiting, right? So yeah, so I think you're right in the fact that, to me, a sniper's a first turn piece where some people will like, and I don't dislike the sniper rifle by any means. It's just the utility for the way I play. They become not as useful later in the game.
Well, I think so. This is something that we haven't talked about our New Year's resolutions on this cast, but I think that Infinity plays, and hear me out on this, like chess in a way, right? Where you have pieces and armies that are like pawns, that are like bishops, rooks. You have your pieces that are like the queen. I feel like a sniper is kind of like a king. It's not super mobile. I mean, it definitely castles up. Achilles is like a queen in the game. Sometimes it's good to challenge yourself with those pieces. I don't know how often you guys play chess, but to take away a piece that you rely too much on. I don't know if you've ever played chess and challenged yourself not to use your queen, or I never use my queen, so I'm going to try to play the game with it. And with that being said, is one of the tactics of players, if you know they're super aggressive, is how to counter that play style more than the piece and take away the piece they want to use. I know that when I play Steel Phalanx and I drop Achilles on the table, I know everybody's going to try to take Achilles' orders away from him, not necessarily Achilles itself. I find that people that try to take on Achilles, they make the mistake and that's a loss. But if you take away all the orders feeding Achilles, then he's nothing. He just gets you're good to go. And that's where smart players really live, with their weapon systems and their tactics on the later turns.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, Randy, I was going to just segue or pile on, dovetail, whatever the hell you want to call it, in your chess analogy, because I was thinking the same thing, but instead of the king, I was thinking more the knight, because where all the other, pawns have to move straight. Bishops are on the diagonal and they can only stay on the diagonal. Rooks on the diagonal. The knight is the only piece that has a weird, move, right? It's up 1 and over 2 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
it makes that L.
Yeah.
And so, as we were talking about this, to me, the sniper kind of fits that knight role in that, you have to line up. You have to think of, what the move is 2 or 3 moves ahead of time. And, we've been focusing a lot on the first turn and how the sniper is great for that. But, we have brought up the infiltration. We have brought up the camo sniper. We have brought up these things where it can give you a different, flavor of the sniper.
Well, yeah, and I think, to Randy's point about taking away a piece. So MSV2 was, I used it at everything that I was playing. Then when I started playing Onyx, I decided, you know what? I have a bunch of smoke dudes in here I can take. I'm not going to take MSV2, right? Because I'm now going to figure out how to combat models without that. So if I have smoke, if my opponent has smoke, if they have MSV and I don't, how do this tool that basically was a crutch? Like I mean, every list got somebody with MSV in it, right? So I purposely didn't use, when I played, like the entire time I played Onyx, I didn't use a single model outside of occasionally I used Kodali late after I'd been playing it for a while. With MSV, and it's simply because I need to teach myself, because if I rely on that MSV dude, and he goes down, I don't know how to deal with smoke, or how to deal with camo, or how to deal with any of those things, or mimetism, right? Because I don't have the piece that I've been relying on doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, because it is about equipment. I think that when people make a list, they have a plan on how it's going to go. You kind of plan out the game, and what's Mike Tyson's famous quote? Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth, and it's how you adapt from there. In a perfect world, for me, since we're constantly talking about the sniper for me on first turn is a aggressive piece to reach out and take away orders from you on your first turn, but it's also there to cover the backside of my army. I like to use either a sniper or like an HMG to cover the blind side, if you will, so that when people start trying to run between buildings, like I said before, I want to have that cone of fire. I don't necessarily want to see the whole board. I want to see this lane. If you decide that that's the lane you're going to come down and reinforce what's happening here as you're picking on a weak spot, that's what I want to hit. And a sniper offensively is great. Defensively, you want like an HMG for the reaction turn or a reaction bot or something like that. But the sniper to me is an excellent piece of you screwed up your movement or deployment. You showed me too much. You left one piece on an island, and your weapon range can't touch me. I'm going to touch you. That's kind of how I feel about it. I also feel snipers are great at hunting other snipers because when I shoot at you, you usually don't get the same shots back. And depending on the army, again, like you said, I think that a sniper has to have another trick in its bag to be worth taking. So I think your sniper has to have MSV2. It has to have something else to make it really worthwhile to me. And other people will obviously disagree based on their playstyle, but that's what I'm looking for in a sniper for my turn 2 and 3 with that sniper.
So you're saying something else. So like if your sniper was going at your opponent's sniper, you want your sniper needs to have the advantage in however what is if it's MSV2, if it's a multi-sniper rifle versus a regular sniper rifle, or you
Right.
just want it to have something a little bit extra.
Right, but again, this is the problem with me in war games. It's I think is going to be the same problem with other people in their lives, right? Is that because I was military, because of what I did for them in the military, I see things in a advantageous way. American doctrine it's a 3-to-1 doctrine. We have to have 3 to your 1 before we're supposed to engage you. So growing up, my whole life is I want to have better than you to engage in that problem. Now, it gets me in a lot of trouble in board games because that's not anywhere near the truth, but I want to have you one-ups. I think snipers are also excellent at objective watching for the person that decides on their last turn they're going to send out some crappy troop to just last ditch effort do it, and snipers are excellent at picking those guys off because usually your high BS it's just a great way to do it in my opinion.
Yeah. So then, in your opinion, Randy, the way you use snipers, what is your late game like? Is that like, do you plan for that to be? Do you plan for snipers to be around late game? How do
I
you
do.
plan for those things?
I plan. So I always think that my snipers are going to outlast a lot of things. I don't. It depends because when we're just discussing this, I'm in my head. I'm thinking of steel phalanx. I have Aleph in my head, right? So that's where I'm going with this. So I plan on my snipers being there. I plan on them. I kind of hide my snipers. I like to position my snipers last where I get a good shot or two on turn 1. And then I have the ability that I don't need to move my sniper a ton, but it has a secondary objective to me. So if you're putting down your models, I'm like, okay, my sniper is going to hit weak, vulnerable targets turn 1 if you leave them open. And most people don't. But if you made the mistake, right, where you give me an angle, and also what my sniper is then going to do once it kills what it's supposed to kill, I'm going to pivot it to this is its secondary goal. That's if I'm playing smart and I'm really thinking about the game and not trying to drink and just roll dice. What I want my sniper really doing is covering the movements of my troops as they go forward. I am not an aggressive player. I am more of a counter punch player. I want to see what you're going to do, and then I react to you more than I would trying to put you into a bad spot.
Yeah, so I think you kind of brought up a couple of things there that we should highlight too. So a sniper, a well-equipped sniper actually makes an excellent model to hold in reserve.
Yes.
Right? Either going first or second, it makes a good one because you can position him just where you need him.
Right.
If you place that model first and allow your opponent to counter deploy, a lot of times your sniper's usage goes way down. Now, that is an advantage if you take multiple snipers, right? Because you'll place one and like, okay, well, there's their sniper. And so they'll redeploy around your sniper. And then your reserve model is another sniper. A lot of times you can catch people off guard that way too.
Yeah, so I think you're totally right about that and catching people off guard with the sniper, and that's why I said I like to do it. Deployment again, and this is I have a steel phalanx mindset for this conversation. That's the army that's in my head. I have no problem throwing down Hector or Achilles right off the bat. I find and again, against super competitive people, that people that are really great at Infinity, they don't really care what you're doing. They have a thing they're going to do, and this is how they're going to do it. But when you're playing people that are casual, throwing down, I feel like Achilles, or people want to respond to that model, right? They're like, how do I deal with that? Okay, he put it there, and then they start zoning in on that threat, and I'm able to put the support pieces that I need around Achilles, counter deploying how you're reacting to that. That's my whole thought process as I move forward, so that when I do finally set a sniper down, I can go, okay, I want you to do this, and then after that target's dead, you are going to do this mission. It's no different than when I think of Achilles with a Spitfire, where I'm like, he might get 6 orders this first turn, and his whole order is run forward, shoot at that, shoot at that, shoot at that, and just push as far in as he can, so that you're stuck dealing with something in your own deployment zone. Because I think if you take the fight to somebody, snipers are way more advanced. You have more of an advantage with a sniper, with a reach and a range on 2 and 3. Whereas if you're a player who's uber aggressive in the mid game, I don't know if a sniper is necessarily your thing. So snipers to me are great if I'm pushing to your deployment zone, or pushing that edge, or trying to keep you pinned in that back table. Whereas if you're kind of barely moving up, I don't know how a sniper helps you.
So, I mean, I think that you bring up a couple things is really understanding your play,
Right.
And how a sniper fits into that. Because again, so this goes back to net listing on an Infinity. Like you can see a guy wins the biggest tournament, take his exact list model for model, and do horrible, right? Because it doesn't fit. You're not utilizing the models the same way. You're not seeing the battlefield the same way. And I think this goes for the same thing for snipers, right? How I view snipers. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 does not align with how Randy sees snipers turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. There may be some overlap in there, but over the entire game doesn't. And that's, I think, really where the uniqueness and let's face it, the draw for Infinity really resides. Is we can take the exact same model and play it 3 completely different ways and be successful with it.
Which is why Infinity is so great that way, because you have to see you and I will never play an army the same way. We might understand how the piece works. I feel like this is a conversation you can have in any aspect of the game, right? Whether you like to cook or bake or work on cars or model or whatever, right? You can explain to somebody like, I like to do this, and then I like to do this, and this is my steps. And somebody could look at it and go, I understand what you're doing. I just don't like what you're doing. I can't. I just don't like it, right? I need to use this, and I want to do this and this. And so when you have a conversation about a weapon system and you have a new player there, I think the important thing to say to them is, hey, this is how I see it. But if you don't like that reach out and touch somebody part of the game, Atlantia for Steel Phalanx is 39 to 44, 45 points. You may not want to invest that chunk of your army, which is a fifth of your army. Seventh of the army in those point totals. And that's a big chunk, right? Like that could be a huge chunk of your points. And if you don't use it, you don't field it. And I think the only way you're going to do it is when you play your practice games, you need to tell somebody like, try to just use your sniper. Use it on turn 1, use it on turn 2, use it on turn 3. And if you find yourself only using it on turn 1, I don't know any model in the game where if it's only, at least in my list building, if I can only use it on 1 turn and that's its sole purpose is turn 1 done, it better be a cheap model. Because if it's any sort of real value, it needs to get its points back. And in Atlantia's case, I need to get 40 points back. I need to kill 40 points, or at least set other models up that they're going to get her points and then some back.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good point to point out is, some people are like, well, this model cost 20 points, so I need to get 21 points back. But it doesn't necessarily have to do that if it can set up other models to get 21 points back, right? So I think that's
Right.
a kind of something to think about too, is the model does not have to earn the points. It can get the assist, right? And have lots of value there.
And it's how you get the value, because again, depending on what army you're playing, I know that I've seen people play Ariadna and play US Ariadna, and when there was those huge 20 something order lists that people were throwing out, and they had a bunch of junk troops that they would just chuck at you, right? And put in your way, and it was speed bumps, and then you would get to a point where you're like, holy crap, I just can't handle the number of dice coming at me. I don't have a way to mow it down. So when you were talking about your list building, and you like to, you were like, I don't care about MSV, I'm just going to smoke everybody out, the hell with it, like I'm just going to overload you on smoke, and you need to be able to bring every model with MSV, as far as I'm concerned, to counteract what I'm doing. I always take the approach of, I need in my army to be able to deal with some smoke somehow. I need to be able to deal with this threat and this threat and this threat. I like to be able to counter everything you are doing. That's just how my mind is. It's been my mindset since I was a kid playing Magic, and I was that douchebag that played control. Like I played white blue control all the time. I was that guy. So that's how I kind of play Infinity. That's just how my mind works. So I think of a sniper as a control piece.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to think of a sniper overall, right? I mean, I think you have some other roles you can put them in, but I think that overall that is a correct way to think of a sniper. You said some other things in there about, and I've lost my train of thought just now. But you said a couple things in there that I also think are interesting when you talk about how you view a game, and how you approach you approach your game. Like in Magic, you want to do control, and I think in Infinity, that is actually the aspect you have to do at list building, right? How are you going to utilize your dudes that works the way you want to work it? And if you can play Infinity, that you can do the control. You could do table control with snipers, with mines, with all camo and hidden deployments and all of this stuff, right? You can play that control game, or you can play the Rambo run up and rush game. There are pieces that do those better than others.
Yes.
But you really, I think part of it goes in, when I'm looking at stuff, I try to make sure, you're talking about how you have MSC, I'm going to overflow them with MSV, or overflow them with smoke, and then they have to bring every MSV thing. It's, a lot of it, and I think Randy and I do think you and I look at building lists a lot of the same ways, because we both talk about building an all-comers list. I want to be able to take this list that can face anybody. Right. So I try to take a bit, okay, this is my reach out and touch you. This is my flipping the switch. This is going to be my midfield. These are going to be my dudes that go kill your dudes, right? So I think that's an advantage if you can look at the gambit of the game and figure out, I need to cover all the aspects. If you want to play the smoke game and that's the only thing you're going to play, and you're going to have every model you have smoke grenades and MSV, you're going to win a couple games, but I bet you're going to lose more than you win.
Yes. I think you're right. I think the other thing is, when you do discuss, as you said, weapons, I think that it comes at the fundamental part is, how do you play? What is your list building for what you're trying to accomplish? But I think I would tell everybody that no matter what weapon system you really like doing, or how, make sure it fits the style of play you're trying to do. But you need to think about how that model works in your strategy on turn 2, because this is a 3-turn game. Turn 2 is kind of the pivotal, usually, in the game. Turn 2 is where a lot of super close games are decided in that finite time. And then you have turn 3 where you kind of like, you're trying to wrap it up, right? So in that turn 2, how does that fit my strategy? Because I can tell you where I failed in Infinity early and often was when I did have a sniper and I would put Atlantia on the top of a building and I would shoot, it get shot back and she'd die. Or I would get a couple shots off and then I was running up the board with Achilles and he's murdering things and I'm like, did I really need a sniper? I mean, like, for what I'm doing, do I really need a sniper sitting on up here doing nothing? Because it's just she's 40. Could I have spent the points better?
And in doing that, so here's this mistake I think a lot of people make early on as they look at that and like, oh, that sniper didn't do anything. I'm going to cut it and replace it with something. Don't do that. Play a couple games before you start cutting.
Yeah, I think a good rule of thumb is to play 3 games before you start cutting.
And I would typically play different scenarios and hopefully different opponents too. If you play the same scenario, same opponent, your data set is not great.
Look at the scientist.
You know, I was a scientist for a month, Rob. Did you know that?
I may have heard that a couple times.
Were you a scientist at some point in your time?
Yeah, I was a scientist, official in the system and everything. Entire month, my friend.
Ryan
Entire
Moore,
month.
super scientist.
Yeah,
love it.
Yep, I went from a lead to a scientist. Both of those for a month, to a supervisor where I've been for this would be going on 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Can you believe I've been at my job for 5 years with Rob?
I can. I can't believe anybody could work with Rob for that long. But so
Yeah.
kudos to you.
Well, I mean, it helped that we got COVID and didn't go in the office anymore. That really helped the
Completely
longevity of my
separated.
job. Yeah.
Yep. Isolation.
That would help. That would definitely. I could see how that would be a plus.
Although I'm going to see him tomorrow, so.
That's right.
What?
Yeah.
How is this possible?
I have to go. I have to be in the office to help clean a bunch of stuff out, and then Rob is coming in the afternoon because we gotta move some things.
Gotta move it. Gotta move it.
Yep. And then I've got some models. So 2 of the people that won the auction raffle thing that Rob set up, or that we set up for the charity, I have stuff to mail off to it too. So we're just gonna combine it and ship them.
Which is why I have not shipped anybody's stuff, because I only want to make one trip to the freaking post office.
You can do all that stuff online, Rob.
I know, but I only want to do it once.
Okay, because I literally we had Christmas presents and stuff, and then I shipped out the Dogfinity models that I donated to them, and I literally just printed it all off online and just walked in to the post office, dumped it off, and left. And I'm like,
I just walk out to the.
Yeah.
I just walk out to the mailbox.
Oh, yeah. Well, I took it in, and I was like, "Sorry, you pre-Christmas dudes are standing in this line and not smart enough to go on the stupid internet."
Yeah. Stupid internet.
Stupid internet.
Stupid internet. I think we did a pretty good job tonight. This was a fun conversation. I do like talking tactics in this game. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think and I think maybe we should do this with a couple of different things, just a couple of them. I mean, we don't think we need to hit every weapon or anything, but I mean, maybe we talk about the mid-range, like the Spitfires, the Red Furies, even the combi rifles, really, and then maybe even talk about pistols and shotguns. And close combat weapons, and probably how to utilize those. If you don't, as a listener, want to hear any of that stuff or want us to do something else, post on the Facebook or shoot us an email at pfpinfinity@gmail.com. I believe that's what it is. And let us know. Yeah, no, I said it and I'm like, that sounds right. That's what it is.
That sounds close. What? Huh? Is that?
Yeah.
Who? We close to right?
Whoops.
What? Who? What? Where? What? How?
Exactly. Because we're gonna start playing again, so hopefully
I'm so stoked about that.
Hopefully we'll start having not so much theory crafting, more like, no, this is how it works, because I literally just did it, right? And I think that will be good.
I literally just played it, and because next week is D-Day. I told Max, because me and Max recorded just before we were doing this. I get my second vaccine on Wednesday before we game.
Oh, that's sweet.
Did On a vaccine side note, did you guys hear about the hospital that had their freezer go down on them?
There's been several of those. I mean, like, there's been several.
Oh yeah, so I was listening to it, and they literally were like, "Hey, we're shucking the protocol. Come in. If you want the vaccine, just come in. Just
come in now. Because you
line.
Yeah, you just have to. You just have to get it done. It's kind of a crazy time with these things, but yeah, I'm excited to get this done because that means once I'm vaccinated twice and I've gone through the 10 days, 10 14 days, I am basically good to go.
Yeah, super jealous, man.
We hope, right?
We hope. That's all we can do is hope. I'm definitely excited to get into the Cardboard Cafe and get some drinks and throw some dice. The Steel Phalanx is coming out on Wednesday. That's all you guys need to know. You're about to get schooled, son.
Well, maybe I should bring the Toha back out because they love Steel Phalanx.
God.
Yeah, they might like just not my Steel Phalanx. No. I'll show you.
So
yep,
painful.
I'm gonna have to put together a list. What should I play?
Put together
I think one of the things that I need to do for the Kansas City Infinity Group is post a mission or maybe a couple missions. What do you guys think? So that way we can kind of prep for it, build lists towards it, and then play it. What do you think?
That would be a bad idea.
I mean, you can do that. That's what the smart players do. I mean, we typically just go in blind and just start swinging.
How dare you?
That's more our style, right?
Yeah. I mean, especially if you've made it this far into this episode of the podcast.
Yeah. To think that we would actually prepare for a random whatever game. Are you crazy?
Crazy
guy. Well, I think we had another pretty successful episode for us anyway. I mean, we're no experts, as it gets pointed out to us constantly.
Yeah, my wife keeps trying to tell me that, and I'm like, well, that's not what the data shows.
That's not what the data shows.
Clearly, as you can see on the x-axis, the data shows.
If you will look at this fancy Excel spreadsheet that literally says I am correct.
If you could just take a look at my pie chart here, and that's when the fight started.
Yeah. Let me show you in this pivot table how.
Oh Jesus!
Oh yeah.
Ryan's busting out all this stuff, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I got all the things, man.
Oh, I can tell. This is good stuff. I didn't. Who would have thought that Ryan was such a world traveler with these things?
Yep, I've been around the globe that I have sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. I dig it. Totally dig it. Well, guys, I guess we'll do this again next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll record live from the Cardboard Cafe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do I need to load up the recording stuff?
I think that would be appropriate.
Drag it to the shop.
Yeah.
I
think it'd be a good time.
All right.
And then you can hear how dice are fickle bitches in almost real time.
Oh, he got it in. Son of a bitch, he got it in.
I mean, one episode he's gonna miss it, and then he's gonna say it. The next one, I'm like, nope, sorry, you missed it. You missed it. It's no longer about.
Yeah, we've done everything in our power. We've taken the phrase away from him. We've said it for him. We've hit it at the beginning of the episode. He just always. What we might have to do is take away his editing privileges and we just edit it out all the time. One time, just edit it one time out.
Can't stop the Rob.
Can't stop the Rob. Jesus Christ, the Rob. Holy shit!
Is that the new one? Is that replacing Dice and Pickle Fish?
Yeah.
Can't stop the Rob.
Can we do
risk it for the biscuit?
Can we do that in one episode where we all refer to ourselves in like that and say,
third person?
Thinks that Randy thinks that the sniper rifle is an excellent tool in gameplay. And actually, if we could do that with in smoking jackets with a pipe, that would be so much better.
High back leather chairs. I see this going somewhere.
I hear what the Randy is saying.
No, what the Randalorian is cooking.
Oh, by the way, for those of you who are not friends with Randy on Facebook, his profile picture is a Randalorian. I had 4 other friends use that as their profile pic, and it wasn't because of me posting it and giving it to Randy. And so I was like, okay, that's really funny. And only you were the only one named Randy that was doing it. So for someone, I was like, yeah, that doesn't work for you.
Yeah, it doesn't work for you.
Your name's
You're not the Randalorian.
Your name's Corey. It's not Randy.
But see, this just shows you how many people want to be the Randalorian. See right here. There you go. There it is. The Randy has spoken.
All right.
All right then. I guess on that note, before we get too crazy,
I mean, you should change your ITS name to the Randalorian, by the way.
I should do that. Maybe I'll do that right now. Let me see. That's kind of funny. All right, guys. Well, I will. I guess I will see you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.
Yeah, take care.
Tabletop Game and Hobby, located at 9156 Metcalf Avenue in Overland Park, Kansas, zip code 66212, has for over 25 years been the Kansas City area's premier game store, specializing in non-electronic games, carrying a massive variety of board games, miniature games, role-play games, classic games, and gaming accessories. Stop by, see what we have to offer, or give us a call at area code 913-962-4263, or visit us online at tabletopgameandhobby.com.
Background music. Flying Species. The Yellow Flying Cock. The use of these human works of music is granted under the current Creative Commons license terms and agreements. From the freemusicarchive.org from the artists as listed. Thank you.